Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the second Elets BFSI Game Changer Summit presented by AWS, powered by Backbase. For our next technology presentation, we have with us Mr. Ajay Shenoy, Director Sales, Compass AI. Mr. Shenoy is armed with more than 15 years in the corporate space across large MNCs such as Airtel, Vodafone, and Citibank, and an entrepreneurial stint that spans 7 years and counting. Mr. Ajay Shenoy is currently the Director Sales for Compass, a gamification software to digitize incentives. Now over to Mr. Shenoy to provide us with his presentation.
Thank you, Aman. Glad to be here. And if I can just quickly share my screen, I think I could have everybody on the same page. Welcome, everybody, to a presentation on digitization in the banking and financial segment. Uh, as Aman already told you, I'm the sales director for Compass AI, and we are a platform that actually is built to energize your sales producers as well as your sales managers. Through this course of about 15 minutes that I have, I'm going to take you through the gambit of digitization and gamification and how it is pertinent and relevant to the BFSI segment. I think an oft used word is gamification, and everybody thinks about it as building a game for your business applications. That couldn't be further away from the truth. What we're doing is actually applying game mechanics to your real world business problems that you face on a day to day, hour to hour basis. What we're bringing to bear at the moment is technology bringing rewarding and creating a little bit of fun to break the monotony of your daily job. Games, at the end of the day, reward you in multiple facets. One is the cash component, absolutely a taken and something that every salesman or salesperson aspires for. But what the games do and the gamification mechanics do is build that engagement. We have milestones, we have rankings, we have mobile apps that actually bring to life the otherwise mundane sales programs that someone goes through day on day, month on month, quarter on quarter. When you look at points, those are actually something that people aspire to achieve. All in all, this wrap of technology, fun, rewarding actually brings to bear huge amount of engagement within your sales team and your internal teams. It goes to both ways, organizational as well as what I like to call the tip of the spear, your revenue earners for you. Why gamification, why digitization, I think can be encompassed in the ethos of our founder Abhishek Kumar. When he went out conceiving this product, he was faced with feedback from various levels of organizations. But I think the most worrisome was the fact that your sales teams actually felt that their incentives were calculated wrong, they were disbursed too late, or they just didn't know about it. I mean, and for a sales guy not to know what he is going to earn on a monthly or a weekly basis is an absolute failure of any well meant campaign at the moment. Our single line is to ensure that incentive programs run on Compass. Here, I'm going to be taking you through how the sales incentive program is something that can add value to your organizations, especially in the BFSI segment. And before we go into the nitty gritty of that, let's just take a look at the challenges that you face in the BFSI sector specifically. This is largely catering to the internal team at the moment, when we broke it down into problem statements across three main buckets: your senior management and mid management staff, your campaign leads, the guys sitting in the back rooms creating those campaigns, operating it, delivering them, and ensuring that there is higher efficacy on it. And of course, never to forget the guys out there backbreaking work to ensure that they're going to build that revenue for your organization. You can't forget any one of these three buckets. In the management cadre, lack of real-time reports, lack of information at their fingertips has absolutely low visibility. A study done says that most senior managers spend 25 minutes a day understanding or digesting a sales report. This can be brought down to as less as 25 seconds by the use of apt dashboards in your segment. Lot of time being spent on reviewing and approving, largely because of exceptions to rules, errors in Excel sheets, another waste of executive time. And the big one, employee dissat. You may have only 8 people out of 100 who've got the wrong incentive calculation. But what happens if those 8 people belong to your top decile of performers? You have a disillusioned guy, you have a disconnected guy, and you're not going to get performance out of him the next month onwards. That is a big problem. For all our friends who are in the operations piece, they go through heaven and hell to create and publish really great incentive programs. But the sheer dissemination of it falls in the gaps, which is why most people find that the efficacy of their incentive programs has fallen. It has not reached the parameters that it was supposed to attain. Bring in Excel, which is our big daddy of all calculations. Excel was not built for complex commission calculations. We have seen companies use nested loops of up to 28 variables just to define a simple variable. One of those 28 is wrong, your entire campaign is absolutely negated. Payouts. If you look at it, any salesperson worth his or her salt wants to be rewarded immediately. They want recognition. It could be cash, primary. It could also be a pat on the back. But if there is no instant gratification, there is absolute failure from a management side to recognize performers, lift the mid segment, and raise the bottom segment. Automation of payouts, whether cash or non-cash, is something that is a really big problem faced in the sector. And let's talk about the tip of the spear. If these guys are not happy, if these guys are disengaged, they're demotivated, then you have spent immense time on training them, you have spent immense time of getting them into the market, and they just leave. Or they go dormant. Or even worse, they stay on your roles and they become unproductive. All of it largely because of frustrations out of not being recognized or rewarded. From the manager perspective, he or she handles large sales teams, which at the end of the day, that personal touch with each and every person for course corrections in real time is just not physically possible. How many times have we focused on our top performers and then run out of steam because a person or a decile can only deliver that much revenue for you? What about your mid-level performers and newbies in your team? You focus there, your high performers feel neglected. All in all, making for a very disengaged sales team for no fault of the manager. So your course corrections is another important facet. What does gamification digitization do? I've spoken about the internal piece. We've dealt in it in detail. But this also works on your external stakeholders. Customer is king, yes. And digitization and gamification is focused even on your external stakeholders. If you recall my previous slide, for your management teams, real-time tracking of sales information is just bang on what they require. Your operations team can actually create, publish, broadcast, and implement sales programs in time frames that are 90% lower than what they were earlier used to. In your teams, transparency of data. I mean, with all your security built over it, so you don't expose personal information of customers, their loan exact disbursal amounts or their premium incentives, but you create a gamified version where each person knows exactly what he or she has achieved as on date and as real time as the data makes it per minute. The faster you refresh the data, the more information is available at the fingertips of sales personnel, managers, and the senior management. Add to this digitization and application of artificial intelligence, which gives you those behavioral nudges. It could be as simple as you're 2 files away from achieving a milestone in the next 24 hours. Something that a manager would have to pick up and tell somebody after reading an Excel sheet with about 100 lines, but the system does it for you. To actually recognizing somebody's past performances and saying by doing 50 sales calls in a week, you were able to be number one on a leaderboard. Today, you have done only 30 for this week. If you can push yourself for another 20 in the last 2 days, you would be actually close to what your previous high was. Use cases of these are, for example, incentives for issuing policies faster. So it's not just the sales team, your commercial teams can also be incentivized using digitization. Or from a reporting perspective, rewards, which could be non-cash, it could be certificates of recognition. Our backend staff is starved for recognition. And non-cash rewards, coupons, team recognition actually helps to build morale, build efficiencies in these teams. On the customer side, I think digitization and gamification is a huge tool in the BFSI segment to demystify what people are really scared of. Imagine the segment of 15 to 45, or I can even say 15 to 50. You're going to engage people in a fashion that they will be more adept at creating as something as simple as a fixed deposit or a recurring deposit, all the way to your high-end incentive plans, which otherwise looks like gobbledygook to each of us. And we're scared and we have an investment advisor to do it. But here you're actually going to completely enable your customer to understand in a fashion that is palatable to them. So all your complex products, no matter how complex they look and feel, can be simplified to increase financial literacy among all your customers and even the kids. This sounds like a lot of jargon, things that are theoretical in nature, and which is why, to the end of this presentation, what I wanted to put up was a real life scenario. We have run a case study with one of the largest private insurers in India. I stress private. And we applied this across a period of about 4 to 5 months. As you can see, in this insurance company, every one of our hypotheses on which we based the building of Compass was proven true. Individual interviews were carried out at the agent level, at the ASM level, at the SM level, at the branch manager level, at the senior management level. And one overwhelming output that came in was that because of enhanced communication, clarity of campaign, clarity in intent, we found that on an average, month on month, 28% more users earned incentives. And there's a direct correlation. The more high performers you have, the more your bottom line looks better. Top line will anyway happen, but bottom line efficiency comes in from guys who are earning more and more incentives. On agent activity, 200% is a number we put up because I was a little scared of 250%, but I think that is the bigger number. Agent referrals went up by a whopping 250%. We thought our system was not working very well when in the first 15 days we saw only 136% increase in the numbers, but a whopping 250% was the average. People were telling their friends and family, this is the company to work for. These are the guys who pay you your incentives on time. We know exactly how much we are going to earn at any given point of time. Best part is, I don't need to call anybody. It is on my digitized platform, and I know exactly where I stand and what I need to do to achieve the next goal. Operations teams love us. That's a simple statement. We brought down processing time to by more than 90%. Absolutely no glitches. People had access to our high-end database systems wherein with simple drag and drop, they could create a campaign in 10 minutes. With a click of a button, they could enable payouts to a staff of over 50,000 agents across the country. 90%, again, we could go 95, 96, 97. but we decided to stop that entire research program when we hit a 90%. And error rate 8 out of 100 files that were being actually processed had problems with it. 8 out of your 100 sales guys, agents, were dissatisfied with their incentive calculation. We have been able to bring it down to an average less than 1%. Decimals look bad on a presentation, so we kept it at 1% and we said we are lower than 1%. But we have practically eliminated errors in either campaign design or in campaign dissemination, most importantly, in payout calculation. And because there was such a low error rate that was witnessed in this program, budget leakage came down by 6.5%. Now think of your entire campaign, and 6.5% of that, which was otherwise a leakage, has come straight back to your bottom line. All in all, if you think about it, sheer application of digitization and gamification in an industry like insurance has actually been able to deliver something that makes your sales teams excited. The most excited person in this entire angle is the chief financial officer of that company. That's my time. And if anyone has questions, you can contact me directly at ajay@getcompass.ai. We're happy to engage with you on a one-on-one. And that's it for me. Aman, over to you.
So I believe there are a few questions from the audience for you.
Perfect.
Are you able to see them, or do you want me to read them out?
I can't see them, but I'd be happy to answer them if you could read them out.
Sure. So one of the questions is, how are your solutions relevant to the BFSI sector, and is it cost efficient and good from revenue point of view as well?
Yes, I think one of the things that we were very careful about in the BFSI segment, the relevancy of this program that we have has to take into consideration the complex nature of the incentives prevalent in the BFSI segment. You take into consideration from the banking side, simple targets of CASA to fixed deposits to mutual funds to insurance in the banking segment for wealth management. Every relationship manager has weighted averages across these. And then it gets more complex after that because you have shadow credits to fund managers. Our system is robust enough because we have a formula engine that allows you to build this system in such a fashion that it becomes easy to build the campaign and deliver it. So there's absolutely no doubt in the matter. I think the proof of the pudding is in the fact that some of the top insurance companies today in the country are currently working on the Compass platform. With regard to your second part of the question, which is bottom line, I think
Right.
my last but one slide show that with budget leakage coming down by 6.5%, it actually goes up to close to 17% if you actually work on campaigns which are more non-cash in nature. A simple example is non-cash incentives are given out in the form of, say, coupons from some of the leading shopping companies or from experiential coupons which are available. Typically, when you do it standalone, you pay for them in advance, and then redemptions are about 17% lower than what you've paid. Here, we charge you only on the basis of redemptions. So it is you pay for what you have bought only. And that's where you see a huge improvement. Productivity wise, from a bottom line, let's keep aside, your operational efficiencies, your revenue efficiencies. Productivity wise, we have seen an 88% improvement in productivity of our sales teams in the BFSI segment. That is a direct attribution to your bottom line at any given point of time. People know at the end of the day, if I sell a product and it's transparent for them in the campaign, if I sell a product which has a higher weightage for me, I will get better points. For the organization, it translates into a higher margin business. So, yes, these are all facets that we took into play when we were building our system.
I think that was very beautifully explained by Mr. Shinoy. Viewers, I hope that correctly answers your question. I'd once again like to thank you, Mr. Shinoy, for coming for this summit and giving a wonderful presentation to all our viewers. It was a
Pleasure
pleasure
is all
having
mine.
you. We'd now like to give a small token of our appreciation on behalf of Elets Technomedia, Mr.
Thank
Ajay
you.
Shinoy, Director Sales, Compass AI. Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you very
time,
much.
sir.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Viewers, we would now have a break of about 30 minutes and we would return at 3 p.m. For our next round of panel discussions. So stay tuned. You can visit the expo in the meantime and catch up and network with other delegates around. So stay tuned and see you again at 3 p.m.